Frontline, frontline, line, rewind. Frontline, frontline, line, rewind. Frontline, 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 line, rewind.
Well, hello, listeners. This is a new episode of Frontline Records Rewind, and I'm your executive producer, Adel Meisenheimer. But today, I'm the host of the show because it's Girl Power today.
Girl power! Woohoo!
Yes, because I have with me two lovely ladies who have a rich, long, deep history with Frontline Records, Sandra Stevens and Allegra Parks.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
So glad
Thank you
to
for
have
inviting us to the show.
Absolutely.
Oh, well.
Appreciate it.
You know, Sandra and I have been connecting in recent times because she is still singing for Lanny Cordola, especially his fundraising concerts.
Yes.
And I work the merch table.
Yes, you do.
And
Quite well, I want to say.
Well, thank you. And so, but we haven't had an opportunity to really get together and connect. So we did recently, and I asked her, hey, is there any way that you would share some studio stories, some touring stories with us about some of the artists that you've worked with? And so we were talking, and I said, you know, sometimes artists like to bring someone with them. So she got right on the phone and called Allegra. And she graciously said, sure, I'll show up.
This is our history.
It's so great to have both of you here.
Thank you
It's
for
great to
having
be here.
us.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to start with Sandra because she has a really neat story about Jon Gibson, who we've had on the show.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to spoil it. So you take it away, Sandra, and tell us the background, the story, the significance of Jon Gibson in your life, and then where it went from there.
So when I was a teenager, I did not listen to Christian music. I didn't think very highly of it. And so I remember telling God, I'm like, if you really want me to listen to Christian music, then you need to give me something that has some quality to it. And then I'll listen to Christian music. And I just said it like that. Well, my brother-in-law was a fan of Jon Gibson. And we were at his and my sister's house one day, and he put this music on, and it happened to be Jon Gibson. I didn't know it was Jon Gibson at the time, and this song came on that was God Will Find You. And I heard that song, and I literally started weeping and crying, and I was just like, okay, God really hears me when I say something. He really understands, and he hears me. And thereafter, I bought everything I could find of Jon Gibson. And so when we finally went into the studio to record with him on Forever Friends, I was telling him the story. I said, you know what? I said, I seriously gave my life to Christ when I heard the song God Will Find You. And at that point in time, he was actually sitting at the piano, and he began to play that song for me. And I wept. I mean, I wept. And he didn't play 4 chords. He played the entire song. And I felt like I had this personal concert with him, and I literally just laid down on the floor, and I just cried. And I told him, I'm like, this song changed my life. So Jon has always been like that someone special to me when it comes to his music. So it was definitely a joy and an honor when he asked us to participate in his projects. I was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And so yeah, that's my story about Jon. There's many more, but that's my most favorite.
I love it.
My most favorite.
So how did you ladies end up on Jon Gibson album? I mean, what was the connection? Who hooked you up?
So I'll let Allegra tell that.
All right.
So we at the time went to a church, Loveland, in, I guess it would have been considered in Rancho Cucamonga at the time. And there was a rapper, Jay-Z and Jay-Z? Yeah.
Jay-Z and the Boys.
Jay-Z and the Boys,
Oh, yes.
which is Dave Guzman. And we had done some work on his project. And he was kind of like saying, you know, well, we can get you some voice lessons, da da da. Because he was kind of talking about us kind of moving forward in the industry, if you will. And he goes, well, I know Jon Gibson, and he can do you know, you guys can, we'll have him teach you guys backgrounds, basically. Or not backgrounds, but voice warm-ups, like vocal techniques and
yeah.
stuff. Not backgrounds, but vocal techniques and stuff like that. And then one day we were told to meet at the studio in, was it Santa Ana? I can see it, Studio A, Frontline, the Studio A one, the nice one.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to get voice lessons.
Okay.
And I think we got maybe 10 minutes of voice lessons. And then he was like, okay, it's time for you guys. I want you guys to do backgrounds on this. And the song we did was, the first one was You've Gotta Love Somebody. We did backgrounds on You've Gotta Love Somebody. And it was our first session. I didn't know she had such a, you know, endearing love for him. I was like, you know, so, and I don't think it was at that studio, but it was another studio where the joke was me telling him one day, kind of didn't really know him, and was kind of telling him, you need to take Baby out of all those songs, you know? Because he always said Baby, and I'm like, from gospel, choir, you know, you move when the director tells you to move, and I'm like, why is he saying Baby? And she kind of had to pull me aside and go, Allegra, that's what he does. So, but we did Love Somebody, and from there we were only supposed to do that song, and it was kind of the exchange, him teaching us vocal lessons and us do the backgrounds.
Oh.
And then that's when he asked us, could you do the rest of the project?
Wow.
And another funny story with the Love Somebody song was that he, you know, I didn't know a lot about studio, but I'd done a couple sessions where I know there's things called cut and paste. And I can tell you on every song on the Jon Gibson where we're doing backgrounds, there is no cut and paste. He made us sing it out to the end of the track. And we would sit there and go, and if it was wrong, we have to start over, because back then it was those tapes. It wasn't this little digital thing where I can fix it. It was like, no, do it, you know, and I remember just saying, has anybody heard of cut and paste around here? What is that? You know? And he was like, no, you get the essence. It's noticeable. This is John, right?
Yeah.
It's noticeable when you do cut and paste. It's kind of generic. It's you know, it's mechanical. You get the more flow of it. Sometimes you say, I was like, oh, Lord. So that's kind of how we got to meet him. And and the rest is history. Yeah, it's been a friend since then.
Yeah.
You gotta love somebody. 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 You gotta love somebody.
Help
Wow, something that started with bartering, voice
Absolutely.
warm-ups.
Exactly.
Yes.
Vocal techniques and lessons.
Yes.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
So on this project, Forever Friends, right? That's the
Right,
one.
right.
What songs stick out to you girls that, especially your participation in it, you know, like, oh, I remember singing that.
Well, one of our favorites is Happy to Know Jesus.
Happy to know Jesus. Oh, excuse me.
Yes, do it. Yes. That's why we're
Yeah,
here.
yes.
Happy. That's the
Yes.
part. That was
Happy,
mine.
yeah.
I had to do
Happy.
happy.
Happy to Know Jesus was one of our favorites. My favorites was Found a Home. I just thought that song was just crafted so beautiful. And melodically, it is just, it's golden. And it's one of those songs that you can put on your headphones and just put on repeat and just listen and listen and listen and listen. And the lyrics of it are so wonderful too. So Found a Home was one of my favorites.
Yeah, used to love doing that one live. That just
Yeah.
take everybody in. Forever Friends. I liked Forever Friends.
Forever Friends.
Happy to Know Jesus. While we liked it, what I remember about that song is the day I went in. By then, he knew my voice, and the engineer. I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. He had glasses.
I know.
Last name began with an F, Feinstein or something like
Yes.
that. Probably should have looked at the credits, but sorry. My voice was out. It was not clear because I have a fairly clear voice with recording, and I remember, and I was like, I'm stuffy. Da, da, da. John was like, just a minute, I have something. And he goes to the store, right? Remember?
Yes,
He
he
goes
did.
to the store and comes back and he puts together this concoction, and it was tea and cayenne pepper.
Wow.
And he told me to drink it. And I was like, can I get some sweet and low sugar, honey, something? And he was like, no, drink that. He goes, you'll be cleared up in a few. And he was right. I was cleared up to be able to do the backgrounds on that because he wanted that certain sound that I'd been delivering.
Happy to know Jesus. So happy to know the King. Yeah. Sold out.
Something like that.
Yo, and I ain't through yet. Stop feeling upset. Gotta hit reset. There's much to get, or much to gain. Cause the name I proclaim contains and obtains the reigning power of joy. Boy, girl, words of love from above is the reason I rap. See, Jesus, my Lord, makes me so happy. Happy to know Jesus. So happy to know the King. So happy to know Jesus. So happy to know the King.
All the music you hear on Frontline Rewind episodes is available on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, and our own website, frontlinerecords.us.
Remember that one time they were bringing in, it was the guy that worked, he was the percussionist at Columbia Studios. His name is Lenny,
Right.
okay? And remember, all of his gear came in. The guy was actually being brought, he was going to be doing all the percussions for the album, right? For the project. And when we say he brought trunks
Yes, he
of
did.
gadgets.
Yes, he did.
And he wasn't there yet. Literally, somebody delivered it. He's that kind of. Remember? Right.
As people from South Africa say, it was massive. It was just, and he just kept bringing it out.
And the guy wasn't there yet. The actual artist, I mean, the percussionist
yeah.
wasn't there. And so we were told kind of not to mess with it because it had his name on it. Not John. John was like, ooh, look at this. And he would be like, I remember he would be like, hey, wait, turn it on. Let's see what this does. And he'd be like, you know, and scratching on stuff. And it's like, oh, what's this? And, and it was so
That's the
funny.
other side of him, the kid in the studio.
Oh yeah, the kid in the studio. Yeah, don't go there with an agenda of like, okay, let's get in, get out. Like now if I do studio sessions, I'm like, okay, this shouldn't take us too long. Like she said, oh, we're still here till 3. Okay, you know.
That was the fun. Those were fun days.
Those were absolutely fun days.
Those were absolutely fun days.
Yep.
Love hearing about John's personality there because we've interviewed him on the show and it was so great. But I love having your perspective of him in the studio.
Like I said, just wonder. He was always wonderful to us.
Yeah.
He really was.
Yeah.
Very focused
Yes.
when he did his projects. For me, I remember writing a diary. I basically stayed at the studio till 3 or 4 in the morning. Would get in my car, drive to my job, sleep in the parking lot, and go to work. Then after work, I would go home, change clothes, and go back to the studio. And I want to say, did that probably for about maybe like a month or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was just so, as we know, just enamored with how gifted he was.
Yeah.
And so he was relentless on himself when he was in the vocal booth. And I learned so much from him. Like I said, I wrote down a diary, how he crafted songs in his head, how he approached them stylistically. His vocal range was, I don't think we've ever seen how beautiful his voice is, because he does these songs and they're probably, in this range, but he just has just this amazing range, and I just wanted to learn and absorb, and I was just a sponge. And so I was constantly there and constantly paying attention to everything that he did, but very meticulous. Very meticulous in the studio. He knew what he wanted. He knew how to get it vocally, and if he didn't, he would just keep at it until he was satisfied. So I learned a lot from him. I really, really did. It was one of my best learning experiences with Jon. Wow. Yeah.
And he was, I would also say, and it was the expectation with us, but it was really, now that I look back on it, he pulled the best out of us.
Yes.
We never got to slack on anything because, like I said, back then it wasn't no fix it in the mix kind of thing. That they didn't really have that type of engineering abilities, if you will. But I've worked with, I have worked with other producers. That's all I'm going to say. Praise the Lord. And, I've walked out of sessions feeling like, God, I cannot sing. That's what they just taught me right now. I suck as a vocalist. Never felt that way with Jon. Ever. Ever. And I don't actually, and now that I think about it, I don't even know how he did that, because I know we had to get on his nerves when we had to do it over.
And that's the thing. He was never critical.
He was
Never critical.
No, he just
we
pulled it
never
out.
we never heard anything negative from him
You really
while we were in the studio ever. Wow.
And back then we sang together with the group, but from a studio sound, I mean, there's a difference from singing live with, yes, you're supposed to make sure you're harmonizing, obviously, and blending, but when you go to put that on tape, you have to be on point. Yes. Now they can fix it so that everybody's equal. We had to, so that was a lot of what we had the notes, but a lot of it was getting us to literally blend and mesh, where it was one voice, but it was two parts. And that, I think, a lot of time was because we really didn't have too many problems with notes. I mean, I probably did because it was high.
But you're right. It was learning the studio chops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We cut our teeth with him, because anybody else would have probably been like, don't bring them back. Oh. Yeah. But he was never critical. That is a very good point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We were just excited and happy. We were like, oh, we're in the studio. Oh, this is fun. Oh, okay. 3 o'clock in the morning, not a problem. Okay, you want us back in 2 hours? Okay, not a problem. We were just rolling in there, and we were just so excited. And like I said, I could totally speak for myself. I was just, it's Jon Gibson. What do you require? We can deliver.
Yeah,
and
she'd be like, okay. I'd be like, saying okay for.
Just wow. Telling you, his vocal ability, there is no smoother or sweeter voice.
Yeah.
And his pitch is just
perfect.
Wow. Do you think we are forever friends?
I knew you when I was just a little baby, crying at night. My mother held me tight as could be, watched me growing from a little boy. You've been the only one who understood my pain, my joy. You, me, baby, we are forever friends. Resting on the long and unseen trail, I crossed what seemed an endless sea with trouble on my sail. Come so far and yet I don't know how. All I know is that you were with me then, as you are now. We've always been, we are forever friends. As the memories of the past grow on, I see the mystery of my
That was Forever Friends off of the album by Jon Gibson
Yeah.
titled Forever Friends.
Yeah. That was good times.
Absolutely.
Good times, good times.
From Jon Gibson's album, we move on to the next Frontline artist that you met.
Next Frontline artist we met, Scotty!
Scott Blackwell in the house.
Scotty.
Whoop, whoop.
Scotty Blackwell. That was, those were fun days.
Long drives, that's all I remember.
Long drives.
With
out
the
to
dog.
yes.
Tell us
Long
more.
drives. Scott's place was in the valley.
Valley. It was in the valley. Yeah.
It was in the valley, so it was probably like maybe what, a
We were
2 hour
coming-
drive?
Well, yeah, because we were coming from Ontario
Yeah.
and driving out
It
there.
was probably like a 2 hour drive. Those were late nights too.
Very
Have
late.
many memories of falling asleep in the vocal booth till 4:00 in the morning, or locking myself in the vocal booth and writing lyrics. And as we know, Scott was new to that genre and actually new to being a Christian too. But house music was his legacy. That's what
Jewish.
he was known for in New York, and a truly popular among a great many secular crowd. But he had no clue of Christian music or Christian house. And so when he met us, I remember him handing us a cassette of the songs,
just
of
his
just music.
Yeah.
And us not really listening to house music at all, or having absolutely no
We
clue
were good
about
church
house
girls.
music.
We didn't go around dancing. And
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, what?
Yeah, we I didn't know the beginning or the middle or the end, and so I actually had to call someone to say, okay, can you tell me where is the beginning, where is the middle, where is the end, where does the chorus come in, is there a bridge is in the song at all? And because there were no
Rules.
parameters and no
Yeah.
rules, and there was nothing out there like that, he just kind of let me do what I wanted. So I mean, as we were talking about before, I wrote like a book on all the songs that I wrote for him, and it was just so many words. And like I said, because there were no parameters, we just went with it. And he never said no. He never said no to any lyrics I came up with or any melodies I came up with. He literally let us have our head at that. And we just had so much fun because it was a dream come true, number one. I remember standing in my living room, and I had called you over, and I was just weeping because
Yep.
it was something that I had asked God for, and this was handed to me. And so the lyrics, they felt like somebody opened up just not a window, but like a river, and just lyrics just poured. So song after song after song after song after song came. And when it was time for us to present to him what we had written, I remember
She's being so gracious. She wrote most of it. I might have injections here and there, but she's the writer for sure.
But when we presented him with the songs, I remember going to the studio, and he was in this rolling chair with wheels on it, and he popped the tape in and said go, and I just began singing the song. And so he's in this rolling chair, and he starts turning in the rolling chair while I'm singing it. And I'm like, good, he's liking it. Oh, good. Oh, good. And from then on, we became like
You guys were
the team.
dynamic duo. Absolutely.
And and like I said, he never said no, and just went with all the stuff. But like I said, his music was fun, and it was kind of freeing, because you get up there, and not only are you singing these songs, but then he's DJing and he's mixing, and it's just the songs that you just dance with abandonment. And so that was the fun part of writing. Like I said, being in the studio and him going, okay, we need another song. Okay, go in the vocal booth, and I'm in there with, and I believe I still have the pads of writing many lyrics down, and okay, I like that one. All right, let's roll with it, and getting up and going for it. And like I said, he never said no. I do want to say I really appreciate that about him. He never said no. It's like, okay, let's do this. So that was truly fun. Mm-hmm.
What was one of your favorite first songs that you wrote that got recorded?
Well, our first one was Not Going
Not
Back.
going back.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
My little small part.
It's your part, Allegra.
It was great,
Yes, that Not Going Back. And that song is almost, it's like a Job song. And it's, like I said, I was conversing with Satan one day,
Yeah.
Said you really should come back to me and just come my way. I could offer people, places, and lots of things. Soon you'll forget about Jesus and be caught up in the swing. Said I don't think so. I made up my mind. I'm pushing fast forward, baby, not rewind. So there's nothing you can offer me and nothing you can say that will make me forget Jesus and just go your way, because I'm not going back. And
I don't think so. Don't cut off my little part.
All right,
My little
that's
small part. Can I have my part? Lord.
So yeah, that was our first one, and that's the one when I sang that song to him that he kept turning around in the chair.
That.
He was
like smiling.
Yeah, he was patting
like,
his foot and it's bobbing his head and turning around in the chair, and I'm like, yes. So that was our first.
Mm-hmm.
And that ended up on Mixed Trip to a Gospel House?
No.
That was on Walk on the Wild Side.
Oh, okay.
That was the Walk on the Wild Side.
That was the Walk on the Wild Side, and that was the first one that we got airplay on. Mm-hmm. So we got airplay all across the country on that one, and I want to say it got up to 20.
I don't know.
We weren't in the top 20.
Yeah,
I think we got 23.
That's
on
good.
CCM.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
All right. So the name of the song, it's on the album Walk on the Wild Side
Yes.
by Scott Blackwell, and
Yes.
it is...
Not going back. Yep.
Let's hear it.
Yes, do you have any drums in your house?
I was conversing with Satan one day. Said you really should come back to me and just come my way. I can give you people, places, and lots of things. When you forget about Jesus, you'll be caught up in the swing. I said I don't think so. I made
At frontlinerecords.us, we have all kinds of goodies. Artist bios, links to all the music, and a free music offering when you sign up for the newsletter. Check it out, frontlinerecords.us.
Oh, I
Lord
have to tell
mercy.
this.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I'm gonna let you, but
Okay.
I'm a mirror of what
Yes.
she did. This was
Okay.
funny. Go ahead.
So
It was which one was it?
It was Prince's club. Prince had a club in LA. And we went there to perform. Well, before we were going to perform, they had this woman stripping on a pole behind
she wasn't
us.
stripping. She was on. She was in
gyrating.
a silhouette. She was
gyrating on a pole behind us in red. So it was a red curtain.
Yes.
And behind us, she's in shadow. And I said
And this
to them,
one,
I said to them, because I'm a little bit bold.
Yes,
I
she did.
said, if she continues, she will drop dead when we start singing about Jesus. I guarantee you.
She was like, she has to come down. She was
Yeah.
like, she can't be up there while we're singing. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, she's coming in people's club telling them what to do.
And I remember walking into that club, going in the
Viper?
back.
Was it the Viper room?
No, it wasn't the Viper.
So we
even
did a
though
Viper room. Yeah, we did
do
that.
a Viper
Okay.
room. This was, I want to say, like I said, Prince had this club. And I remember going in the back and I was crying because I just said, God, this place is just, you could feel this was just not godly. And I remember him telling me, which is why I do to this day, because people always ask me, why do you wear no shoes? He says, wherever you take off your shoes, you are on holy ground. And that was the first time that I took off my shoes and I walked out on stage and I performed. And I always do it now because we have been some places like the Viper Room and all sorts of places. And I'm like, wherever we put our feet, that's holy ground. We will take ground for God. And
I remember you saying, because I was church girl, you know, like, ooh, I have no business being here. What in the world is going on? And I remember her saying, and it was in the bathroom, where after she told them they're going to take that girl, that lady can't be up there.
Yeah.
The naked, you called her the naked lady. That woman had clothes on, but we didn't know. Whatever she was in was skin tight, that's for sure. And I remember Sandra saying this, and I've always said that no matter where I go to minister, though a lot of it's in churches, but I've always remember you said, we are the Jesus they will see. They're not going to come into a church and meet Jesus. We are, you didn't say it that way, but that was basically the essence. Is like, we are the only Jesus that they most likely will ever see.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to show them. Remember in the bathroom after the naked lady, wherever it was, remember people were in the bathroom. Well, we kind of went to the restroom and they were like, that was so good, da 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 da. And we got to tell them a little bit about the Lord and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were very respectful. I
Yeah.
remember that because I just knew we were going to get booed because we cut off their music to get up there and do,
We sure
I'm
did.
not going back.
Right.
I remember that.
And the thing is there is nothing about our music that was subtle.
No.
And when I wrote the lyrics, like I said, I was writing a book. You might as well have taken chapters out of the Bible. I was like, there is no way, because I remember being interviewed about Scott's music, and I remember telling them, I'm like, you know, some people go, this is not, and I said they haven't listened to the song. They heard the music, and that was it. I said, because I am making sure that I am 100% word driven. There is no, well, maybe it could mean and maybe it could not mean.
Right.
No, without a doubt, you know, this is straight Jesus.
Yeah, 'cause if
coming
you
at
listen-
you 100%.
Yep.
You don't, I'm not waffling. I'm not trying to make it so that you go, okay, I'll accept. No, because people need Jesus. No matter how much that people want to water down something, when someone needs Jesus, they don't want it watered down.
That's right.
They want, what can I do to change my life, to make it better, to make the rain go away? And that was my purpose when I was writing those songs. I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, you're going to be dancing, but you're
gonna
going to
get
be
hit with something,
you're
like,
those lyrics are you're going to keep them going on in your head, and which is why
Like Love Come Down.
Love Come
Love
Down.
Come Down has the whole love
Yeah.
chapter of Corinthians
Yeah.
in it. Never fast in anger.
Yeah,
Always patient and kind. All that's in there. It's like-
Leroy's Love Come Down is a basic love letter to God. You know?
Yep.
That-
Even though it's on top of Evelyn
Yeah.
Champagne King's
Exactly.
Love Comes Down.
But that's my favorite song. Even though
Yeah.
we did Not Going Back, Leroy's Love Song, I still sing that song to myself because it just puts me in a higher mindset of what God has done for us. You
Wake
know?
up in
Let's
the
hear
morning.
it now.
Yeah.
Let's hear it now.
It
starts
goes,
with
Intro
wake
it
up,
in.
yep.
Yeah, with some.
wake up in the morning with a smile on my face, knowing deep in my heart that nothing can erase it. Good vibrations moving over me. Love came down and covered me. That's what I'm feeling. It's an awesome joy. Nothing and nobody could ever destroy. Jesus brought to my life this feeling. Left me willing, and I can't help but love you. I can't help but love you. I can't help but love you.
I can help but love you.
That's it.
One day when I got home from school and lounging back on my bed like Club Med, I started feeling a feel that was unreal. I started feeling a heat that was too deep. So I got out of bed and shook my head, touched myself cause I thought I was dead. Thank God I wasn't, but since I wasn't, I wonder what was it. So my quest goes on, the quest goes on to find what's wrong or what's right. All through the night I fuss and fight with myself, no one else. 6 hours later, not feeling much greater. I hear a voice, nice and soft, but kind of strong, didn't last too long. Just 3 words falling off. Yo, yeah. Could it be God? I feel kinda odd, but then I feel positive's him. 1 John 4, the verses 12. I pulled the Bible off my shelf. I cracked it open. The word was spoken, not in my ears, but in my heart. Like a dart hit the bullseye, a tear drops from my eye. Word. But not one hits the ground, cause they're all in a bottle. Straight full rob is what I'm in, cause I'm striving to win. To get the crown is how I'm down. Love. It's all about love. Can't you see it? Can't you feel it? Now I can, cause I got with the program. Man, y'all need to quit it. You need to get with it. Open your heart like it was a door. Open your mind if you want some more. Then you feel the action. Love comes down, love come down. You down with L-O-V-E? Yeah, you know me, cause love is G-O-D in the 1990s. And even before, cause he's Alpha and Omega. He's my savior, he's the greatest and the latest. I bet you wonder why I'm saying this. Once again, I can't stress it enough. God is too tough. He'll put a smile on your face and take away the frown. Once you feel his
So you're in the studio, Walk on the Wild Side.
Yes.
Now, this next couple projects that came out, Mixed Trip to a Gospel House. I think you were doing maybe a little touring with Scott about this time, and
Well, we were doing touring.
With both at the same time.
Yes, with
Scott and Jon.
Scott and Jon at the same time.
Right.
And it was a combination of I want to say Scott songs. It was Walk on the Wild Side as well as
Or not
Once
going
Upon a
back.
Time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because,
Yeah,
Okay, Once Upon a Time.
The Once Upon a Time stuff. Well, we had fun songs on that too. And so we were going, like I said, Magic Mountain,
we did
Knott's
Magic
Berry
Mountain.
Farm. We'd perform at one place with Jon and run through the
She's
park.
not telling the story. Let me
Yes,
tell.
go
okay,
ahead.
go
Not telling
Allegra.
the story.
go
She's
ahead.
messing
Tell
us up.
Yeah.
So, okay, Knoxberry Farm wasn't so bad. Oh, remember Knoxberry Farm? We had to, what was his name? Soda?
We had soda.
Who was teaching us dance moves. Ha! But we did good.
We did good.
For Scott Blackwell's stuff. And then, but the Magic Mountain one was the one where the venues were far apart.
Yes.
And so they literally took us because we had times, because I think there were 2 shows for each
Yeah,
of
there
them.
were 2 shows for each.
Right, and they weren't far apart. I remember there wasn't a lot of time between them. And so they actually had somebody escorting us up and over this mountain. Back
Yes.
then, I was not in shape. Now I could have handled it. But back then,
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? Because we had to change, go back up, because
Yes.
we changed clothes.
Yes.
Because it was a different vibe for Scott's. For
Right.
Scott's genre music,
Bright
if you will.
colors and
Bright
hats.
colors, that whole thing.
And then over to Jon's, and
We came back to-
we had blue and black.
Yeah, blue and black. We
I have
were
the
more
pictures.
conservative, more
Yes.
yes, more kind of toned down.
Yeah.
So we had to do that, and they were sitting there going, "Gosh, sucks to be you," type stuff. They were just sitting down, lounging back between the
Yeah.
2 shows, and we're like running over like mad people. It was
Yeah.
too funny, but that was a great time.
But that was fun. My mother actually showed up at one of those shows, and I heard "Sing, baby," and I was like, "Hold up, could you turn up the lights, please?" That's my mother in the audience. And it was so cool because she had flown in to see us. So that was fun. But yes, those were busy days.
yeah.
Those were busy days in between touring with Scott and Jon. And Jon was all over the place,
Yeah,
too.
remember
So
Vegas
up in the mountains at every Christian.
It was I remember it being.
At Estes Park.
I know it was in the mountain. It was
Estes
actually
Park.
at a ski resort.
It was at a
because
ski
I remember,
resort.
even though there was no snow at the time, but it was cold, and there were slopes, and everybody was on the slopes listening to the music. It was some type of
It was for the
festival
radio,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And it was pretty cold.
Yeah, it was a lot. And
was
then
fun, though.
and then of course, we toured with Scott too. So we went all over with Scott and
And what kind of gigs were those with Scott?
Well, the one I got to go with him was, I remember it being at a gymnasium type thing, and a bunch of kids. It was kind of a dance thing, and I think I went because they said you couldn't go that time, and I remember I was kind of sharing with you guys, as you remember, the Southwest commercial that talks about you call out the wrong city. Well, I kind of did that. And I remember going, all right, Chicago. And it was like a hush fell over the crowd. And I was like, whoa. And it was like, oh, we're in Aurora, Illinois. And I was like, oh, man. So every time I see that commercial, I fondly remember that. But it was a blessing. I do remember a young girl giving her life to Christ, and then I kind of went back to my roots going, yes, Jesus loves you, yes. And I just held her, and she just cried, and she cried. And Scott was like, what did you think? I was like, I wish it would have been on video so we could remember.
yeah, so we
And you had some really good ones with him, too.
we traveled. We did Cornerstone. We did Flavo. And is that Switzerland? No, where's Flavo? Holland. Flavo's in Holland. I say there's no state we did not hit. So you're talking
Wow.
Florida, you're talking Tennessee, you're talking Oklahoma, you're talking Seattle, you're talking Idaho. And we performed everywhere. We performed at festivals, churches, radio shows. Remember we did the radio show too for was it KYMX?
Oh, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, did the radio shows. Yeah, all over. And like I said, it was always fun because most of the people actually knew Scott from his secular days. So it was like we get there and they're like, oh, but then the music, there were so many people that wrote letters about how the music changed their life and how liberating it was that they could finally dance and they could finally dance to Christian music, and there was Christian music that they could dance to and listen to at the same time. And we got letters from, I mean, the age range was just huge. I mean, adults to kids to teenagers, like she said, people who gave their life to Christ, and from all over the world.
Well, I want to thank you ladies for being here for this episode. We're going to have another episode with you, and we're going to talk about another favorite Frontline artist, Lanny Cordola. That's going to be our next episode. But just thank you so much for sharing your rich stories and history. And Frontline was so much better because of you. And you brought so much to the artists and to the people who benefited from the music, and you sacrificed on the road and all that with
Many days.
Yeah,
Many
yeah,
times.
and a lot of time in the studio, and I just want to thank you on behalf of the listeners today. So we'll be back. We'll talk more, and thanks for being here today.
Absolutely.
Thank
So
you
this
for
is
having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Oh, yeah. This is Adele signing off with Sandra Stevens and Allegra Parks. Thank you so much.
Frontline, frontline, line, rewind. Frontline, frontline, line, rewind. Frontline, 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 line, rewind.